Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Sluggers Blue for your CAT VRC preparation. In this session, we'll be continuing with the same RC that we taken up in the first part of this session. This RC was asked in your CAT exam in the year 2020. First lot, the Tang Dynasty is what I've titled it as, 511 words, 5 questions. This is the second part, as I said, where we are going to go through the questions of the RC, pertaining to the RC. In the first part, I've already taken you guys through the passage. I've explained the passage to you in detail. Those of you who have not attended the passage, you can attend the passage by accessing the link which is given in the description of the video. And again, those who have not watched the first part and would like to watch the first part, you can the link to that video can also be found in the description. And the link to join the Telegram channel for Sluggers Blue is also provided in the description. Okay, so let's start. Okay, now for those of you who might be watching these sessions for the first time, I'll just take you very briefly through the structure of the sessions. See, every single session caters to one RC, okay, and a session is made up of two parts. The first part is where I explain to you the passage in detail, paragraph by paragraph, and the second part is where I take you through the questions, where we discuss the questions. Okay, you are expected to have attempted the passage and read the passage and attempted the questions by yourselves. The link to do the same is available in the description of videos of both the parts. Okay, all right, now 40 such sessions make up a course that is titled as an anthology of RCs for your reading comprehension preparation for the CAT. All right, so I hope that's clear. Let's start. Question number 1. According to the passage, the modern currency system shares all the following features with that of Tang, except that. So that means out of the 4 options that have been given, 3 of them will be features which are shared between the modern currency system and the Tang dynasty, and there'll be one feature which is not shared between them, right? And this one feature which is not shared, that will be your answer, because this is an except scenario, right? So yeah, do take note of that. Let's look at, so we're going to use, guys, in this case for this question we're going to use a table where I'm going to label the first column as options. This is where we'll note the options A, B, C and D. The second column I'm going to attribute to your Tang dynasty. Like this will basically check whether that feature mentioned in that particular option was true in the case of Tang dynasty or not. And the third column is going to be that for the modern currency system. So here we'll check whether that, again, the feature mentioned in the same option was true in the case of the modern currency system or not. Now, the features which will be shared will be eliminated, because we are supposed to find the one that, this is an except scenario, we are supposed to find the one that is not shared, right? So if there is a feature which is true in both the cases, it will be eliminated. If there's a feature which is true in only one of the cases, that should be your answer, correct? Okay, so let's start. The first option says it uses different materials as currency. So the modern currency system uses different materials as currency, and that is common with the Tang dynasty. That's true. Modern currency system does use different systems as different materials as currency. So it has cash, coins, etc., and then you have credit cards. So cash and coins must be made of different materials. So that's true in case of modern currency system. And it's also true in case of the Tang dynasty, because they also used grains, coins and textiles. So again, different materials. So that's true. Both of them are true. So they are shared, and hence the first option can be eliminated with a capital E. Next, it is undergoing transformation. The modern currency system is undergoing transformation. The author has mentioned that. He says it here, that even as it is changing in front of our eyes. So yes, the modern currency system is undergoing transformation. But is this true in the case of Tang dynasty? The author has nowhere in the passage, while he talks about the Tang dynasty, mentioned that the currency system in the Tang dynasty is undergoing any kind of transformation or transition. In fact, he mentions that in case of at least some parts of the currency, like the textile, have in fact remained quite steady, right? He notes that here. Silk held remained remarkably steady for the from the 3rd to the 10th century. And then although he has said that only about the textiles, but even about the other items, the coins and grain, he hasn't really said that there has been some sort of transformation in those currencies was observed, that those currency systems, the value of those currencies have changed. He has mentioned that the value of those currencies have changed. That's true, but that is different from the currency system undergoing a transformation and the currencies themselves or changing values, the values of the currencies fluctuating These are two different ideas. So if you confused it with that, then that you might have gone wrong there, right? So the system, the currency system in the case of Tang Dynasty did not go any kind of transformation. So this is not true in the case of Tang Dynasty, and hence this can be a good candidate for your answer, right? So this is not shared and hence can be selected. Okay, let's go to the next one. Its currencies fluctuate in value over time. So far as the modern currency system is concerned, well, the currencies fluctuate. Well, the currency, the cash and coins, they do fluctuate in value over time. We know that. But the problem with this is that the fact that the coins and currency, the cash, coins, and these denominations, the value does fluctuate in case of the modern currency system is not explicitly mentioned in the passage. And that's the reservation that I have with these options, with option C, sorry. Because so although we know it to be true, we know that like in the modern currency system, in the modern era where we live, the value of these currencies, they do fluctuate. So it is true, but we need to stick to the within the purview of the passage, right? So within the purview of the passage, the author doesn't seem to have hinted or implied or stated that the currencies fluctuate in case of the modern currency system. The currencies fluctuate in value over time. Okay, so we're just gonna put this on hold. We're not gonna mark anything here. We'll just put this on hold. Why am I putting this on hold instead of crossing it out? Because because the reason is that it maybe to some extent it is implied. Maybe to some extent it is implied by a far stretch, by a long stretch of imagination, and that's the reason why I'm not just crossing it out. In case of the Tang Dynasty, was it true that the currencies fluctuated in value over time? Yes, it was true. The author says that the values of different textiles were also more stable. So the value of textiles were more stable, but than the fluctuating values of coins. So yes, at least the value of coins, which was a currency in the Tang Dynasty, that did fluctuate over time, right? So that's true in this case. Okay, so see, B and C are going to be not so easy to select between. But let's check the last option as well before we do that. Before we decide between B and C. Last option says it uses different currencies for different situations. That's true. Modern currency system does use checks and debit cards for larger transactions and coins and cash for paying for the parking at a meter, etc. So that's true in both the cases. So it's a shared condition and hence can be eliminated with the capital E. Now we are left with just these two options, guys. Okay, option B and option C, and we need to select the lesser of not the lesser of, the greater of the two evils, because we need to select the option that has the feature that is not shared at all, that we are very sure about, that it is not shared across both the systems of currency. Okay, so now between B and C, in case of B, we are pretty sure about how the modern currency system is undergoing transformation, and we are also pretty sure about how there is no transformation going on so far as the Tang Dynasty, so far as the currency system of the Tang Dynasty is concerned, right? There was no transformation going on as mentioned in the passage. So we are sure about both of these. In case of C, we are pretty sure that the currencies did fluctuate in value over time, right? Value of the coins did fluctuate in case of for Tang Dynasty. So we are sure about this, but this is the part that we are not 100% sure about. Why? Because it is not directly mentioned that these currencies fluctuate over time in the passage, but maybe it can be implied with a slightly longer stretch of imagination, probably. So my take here would be that we should rather go for option B in this case as the answer, because there we are sure about both the scenarios, right? So let's rather go for B. In the absence of an option such as B, we would have definitely gone for C here. Okay, but given that out of B and C, if you have to select between B and C, the correct answer, according to me, should be option B. Okay, all right. So I hope you guys understood this idea, right? And also the utility of the table. Otherwise, this could have been really confusing. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Question number 2. In the context of the passage, which one of the following can be inferred with regard to the use of currency during the Tang era? So let's look at the options. First, currency that deteriorated easily was not used for official work. Okay, so currency that deteriorated easily was not used for official work. No, in fact, the author says that the government also required the use of textiles, right? And textiles were were the currencies that were vulnerable to wear and tear. That means they deteriorated quite easily, right? So this is definitely incorrect. The currency that deteriorated easily was in fact used for official work by the government, right? So you can eliminate this with the capital E. Next, copper coins were more valuable and durable than textiles. The author does talk about durable, but he does not say that they were more valuable than textiles. In fact, he has implied at multiple places that, in fact, he says here that yeah, for large transactions, textiles weighed less than their equivalent in coins. Right, so from that, in fact, you can infer that probably the textiles were more valuable than copper coins. So this might in fact be a factual error, right? So you can eliminate this as well. Next, option C, currency usage was similar to that of modern times. Yes, this is something that has been mentioned by the author. Was similar to that of the modern time. He says that here. In actuality, our own currency system today has some similarities, right? So this can be the answer, right? Next, grains were the most used currency because of government requirements. No, this is factually incorrect and can be eliminated because the author has said very clearly that grain, because uh, it rotted easily, was not used nearly as much as coins. And this says just the opposite, right? So you can eliminate this, and your correct answer will thus here be option C. Question number 3. When discussing textiles as currency in the Tang period, the author uses the words steady and stable to indicate all of the following except. So the aspects that the author has indicated will have to eliminate those. They'll be considered true and they'll be eliminated. And the ones that, because it's an except question, right? And the ones that he has not indicated in the context of textiles as a currency, the ones that he has not indicated will be selected as your answer. Okay, so let's look at the options. The first one says to indicate reliable transportation. Has the author discussed textiles as currency to indicate reliable transportation? Has the author anywhere considered that textiles would prove to be more reliable in case of transportation, especially when he has used the words steady and stable? See guys, the question stem in the onus on sticking to the question stem for this question is extreme. I'll tell you how. Because many students may have assumed this option to be true or correct in light of this point of reference, where the author says that coins were not so well suited for transportation because of the cost of transportation. They were just more suited for local usage. So from that you can probably infer that, okay, that if coins were not suited, then maybe they used wherever transportation of the currencies was required, maybe they went for textiles, right? So that seems like a valid inference. But the thing is, please read the question step. When discussing textiles as currency in the Tang period, the author uses the words steady and stable. So we need to stick to this, to the context, to the point of reference where these words have been used, and that point of reference is right here, steady here and stable here. Okay, the discussion about transportation, okay, of currencies, what kind of currency would be more easy to transport and which one might not be so easy to transport, has been undertaken in the next paragraph. And we need to stick to this point of reference so far as this question is concerned, because that's what the stem says. Okay, it is pinpointed to that point of reference. So we need to stick to that, and hence this option will not be true. Okay, this will be false, and thus can be our candidate for the correct answer. Okay, let's look at the next option. Reliable supply. Now reliable supply, that is something that the author has discussed before this at this near about this point of reference, where he regards the textiles as currency as steady and stable. He notes that the textile production was widespread and there were fewer problems with the supply. So that means the supply was reliable so far as textile production was concerned. So you can, this can be considered true and can be eliminated thus. Next, reliable measurements. Yes, that's exactly what the word steady stands for. Steady meant, he says, furthermore, the dimensions of a bolt of silk held remarkably steady from the 3rd to the 10th century. This of these measurements, right? So this is also true. You can eliminate this very easily straight away. Reliable quality. Yes, the author has talked about reliable quality, and that's, I think it's here. He says the values of different textiles were also more stable than the fluctuating values of coins, right? That means that the quality, the value here, quality here is almost like a proxy for value, and hence like they were more stable, right? So in the same context, at the same point of reference, the author has talked about reliable quality with respect to textiles as a currency. So even this can be considered true and thus eliminated, right? So your correct answer here, the what the author has not indicated is option A, reliable transportation. That's something that he talks about in the next part. And obviously we cannot assume that, like, when he used the word steady and stable, he already meant to talk about something that he's going to talk about in the next paragraph. That's absolutely absurd, right? So hence, and then that's the, by the way, this is the reason, one of the reasons why this question, while I regard this question to be not just moderate but somewhere between moderate to difficult, because like this is a really good trap that has been created here, option A. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the next one. Okay guys, coming to the next question, last question. During the time period, which one of the following would not be an economically sound decision for a small purchase in the local market that is worth 1/8 of a volt? Okay, so please note that we are supposed to select the option which would not be an economically sound decision. Okay, so that means that three of these options would represent decisions which are economically sound, and one option would represent a decision that is not economically sound. Okay, and that's the one that will be your answer. Let's look at the options now. Paying with a faded bolt of cloth that has approximately the same value. It's a faded bolt of cloth, it has approximately the same value. Sounds like an economically sound option. Eliminated with a capital E. Next, making the payment with the appropriate weight of grain. Well, you're making the payment with a grain which anyways will otherwise rot, right? Has low durability, and it's an appropriate weight of grain that you're using to make the payment. So again, economically sound option, and hence can be eliminated with a capital E. Next, using coins issued by the government to make the payment. Again, the author hasn't really expressed any concerns with respect to whether it is a whether it is an economically good idea or a bad idea. At least he has not presented any reservations with respect to spending coins, right? So seems like it's nothing objectionable. Option is definitely not objectionable. So yes, this can also be considered a sound option and can be eliminated. Option D, cutting 1/8 of the fabric from a new bolt to pay the amount. This is absolutely not an economically sound decision, because the author has noted here that if consumers cut textiles into smaller pieces to buy or sell something worth less than a full bolt, that too greatly lessened the value of the textiles. So it is not economically sound and hence matches our description. So option D will be your correct answer, because it is not an economically sound way to pay for this, for 1/8 bolt of a cloth. Okay, so yeah. Okay, guys, so coming to the vocabulary part. Now, the way we'll go about this is I have marked some of the words which I figured that some of you guys may have found challenging while reading the passage. And I provided the contextual, primarily contextual meanings of the words on the right side. Well, I will not be taking you through each and every word or discussing them here, because we're going to have separate vocab courses as in different playlists. And yeah, so the way you're supposed to get through this is like pause the video, go through the word in its context, and then check the meaning of the word, right? So that'll help you internalize the meaning of the word for future. Okay, so coming to the passage analysis part, we'll start with the first parameter, which is genre. So guys, again, if you found, if you, for those of you who might have found it difficult to understand the passage in terms of terminology, or comprehend the passage in terms of the ideas discussed here, it will then definitely benefit you if you read some more content from this particular genre from which to which the passage belongs. Next, readability of the passage. The readability has been rated on a scale of 1 to 10, which is based on a variant of Flesch Kincat scale. The scale is quite ubiquitously, used across all domains, all genres, and all domains of writing, and it's quite reliable. So yeah. So again, so if you found if your accuracy was really less, and this passage happens to be if the readability happens to be quite high of this passage, then definitely makes a case that you might want to practice more with passages that are more difficult to comprehend. Okay. Next, passage length. Please think of the passage length not just in terms of words, but rather in terms of number of words per question, right? So that again can have a bearing on what steps you might want to take to recalibrate your approach. In terms of, like, let's suppose if you found your accuracy to be quite less, if the passage was too long, then you might want to concentrate on longer passages. Ideal time to for the passage to read the passage, and ideal time to answer the questions, and total ideal time has been mentioned here. And finally, I've provided here you a couple of articles which belong to the same genre and are kind of on the related topic, so that you can get more exposure in this particular genre and in this genre basically. Okay, all right. Okay, guys. So with this, we are done with the fourth passage of your history genre. The fifth one will be taken in the next video. For those of you who have not watched the other passages or attempted the other passages, you can do so by going to the playlist of the channel. Okay. Okay, and finally, we are done with the session. So now, those of you who might have not watched the passage explainer, the part one of this RC, you can do so by clicking here. It will lead you to the respective video, and you can also find the link of the video in the description. And those of you who would like to check out the intro, or maybe the whole playlist, you can click here. This will take you to the playlist. And do subscribe and share if you like the channel. Do put your feedback in the comment section if you liked it, or there's something that you would want to have added. And yeah, so that's about it, guys. Thanks. See you in the next one.